The arena champion's killing strike had just connected with a sound like breaking stone, and Korvac stood over the fallen human with his blade arms raised in victory, until she pushed herself up from the blood-stained dirt, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and started laughing through split lips. The roar of 60,000 spectators died like someone had cut the power to the stadium. Korvac stared at the human, his chitinous exoskeleton still vibrating from the force of the blow that should have shattered her spine and pulverized her internal organs. His species' finishing strike, the render, had ended fights against opponents twice this creature's size. He'd killed a Thorian warlord with that move. He'd executed a cybernetically enhanced Kreth warrior. The technique was designed to liquefy vital organs through kinetic resonance. The human was standing up. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, medical team to the arena floor. Vex Thul's voice cracked through the arena's communication system, the arena master's usual composure shattered. Immediate extraction. The exhibition is concluded. Jennifer Martinez spat blood onto the dirt and grinned up at the towering champion, her teeth stained red. Okay, that actually hurt. She rolled her shoulders. Korvac could hear ribs grinding against each other, see the unnatural deformation of her torso where his strike had landed. Guess it's my turn now? You should be dead. Korvac's translator rendered his shock in flat, mechanical tones that didn't capture the existential horror he was experiencing. The render kills instantly, neural shock, organ failure, spinal severance. You cannot be standing. Yeah, well, Jennifer wiped more blood from her mouth. I've got a really high pain tolerance. Comes with the job. You try breaking up bar fights every Friday night without learning to take a hit. The crowd had gone completely silent. In the premium viewing boxes, Vex Thul was already on emergency channels to the medical bay, his 4 eyes locked on the impossible scene unfolding below. Zara, the human is mobile. I repeat, the human is mobile after a render strike. This should not be possible. I'm reading her vitals from here, the medical officer's voice came back, tight with disbelief. Arena Master, she has multiple fractured ribs, internal hemorrhaging, and what appears to be a collapsed lung. By every known biological parameter, she should be in shock and losing consciousness. Instead, her heart rate is elevated but steady. Her neural activity is... Zara paused. Her neural activity is increasing. She's becoming more alert. Jennifer took a step forward, then another. Her gait was unsteady, favoring her left side, but she was walking, advancing. Blood dripped from her mouth with each breath, but she was smiling. This was supposed to be easy entertainment, Vex Thul muttered, watching his carefully planned exhibition spiral into chaos. The human had been grabbed off the street, a civilian, unarmed, no. Combat training visible in her profile. Perfect fodder for Korvac's opening match, a quick demonstration of the champion's power before the real fights began. She's a bartender. The species assessment said humans were fragile, prone to injury, limited pain threshold. The assessment was wrong, Zara said quietly. Korvac shifted his stance, blade arms extending fully. The human was still coming. Slowly, yes. Damaged, obviously, but coming. Stay down, he commanded, his voice amplified through the arena. You have shown admirable courage, but this fight is over. Accept the honorable defeat. Defeat? Jennifer laughed, and the sound echoed in the silent stadium like broken glass. Buddy, I haven't even started fighting back yet. I was waiting to see what you could do. She spat more blood. Gotta say, I'm not impressed. I've taken worse from drunk Sigma Chi bros who thought they could skip their tab. The crowd began murmuring, a low, confused rumble of voices. This wasn't how arena matches worked. The prey species fell. The champion stood victorious. The cycle was ancient, predictable, sacred. The human was rewriting the script. Korvac had fought for 12 seasons, 247 matches, 247 victories. He'd faced warriors from across the galaxy, each one a predator species, each one trained in combat since birth. He'd never seen an opponent stand after the render. He'd certainly never had one laugh at him. "What are you?" he asked, the question escaping before he could stop it. Jennifer wiped her mouth again, examined the blood on her hand with casual interest. "Me? I'm just Jennifer Martinez, third-shift bartender at Mickey's Tap House on Earth. Was just walking home after my shift when your goons grabbed me." She looked up at him, eyes sharp despite the catastrophic damage her body had sustained. "But if you're asking what humans are—" Her grin widened, blood painting her teeth crimson. "We're stubborn, we're ornery, and we don't know when to quit." She raised her fists in a boxer's stance, untrained, all wrong, but undeniably aggressive. "So come on, champ, let's see if you got anything better than that love tap." Vexthul's hands were shaking as he reached for the emergency combat protocols. In 12 seasons of running the arena through thousands of matches, he'd never once activated the champion evacuation procedures. He activated them now because Korvax, undefeated champion of the Crimson Sands, stood frozen in the center of the arena, staring at a human bartender who should have been dead, and for the first time in his legendary career, the expression on his face wasn't confidence. It was fear, and Jennifer Martinez, bleeding from a dozen internal injuries, with broken ribs grinding against each other with every breath, stood in combat stance and waited for round 2. The human hadn't just survived the killing blow, she'd smiled through it, and somehow that was infinitely more terrifying than any weapon Korvax had ever faced. Korvax's second strike came faster, harder, driven by the primal need to prove that the first had been a fluke. His blade arm caught Jennifer across the ribs with enough force to crack the arena's reinforced flooring beneath her feet. She staggered back 3 steps, coughed up blood, and then stepped forward again. "Arena Master, her vitals!" Zara's voice was climbing into panic territory. "She's accumulating damage that should have triggered neural shutdown. Fractured ribs, punctured lung, internal bleeding in at least 3 organ systems. Her pain receptors are screaming, but her motor functions are unimpaired. How is she still conscious?" "I don't know," Vexthul said, all 4 eyes fixed on his medical readouts. "But she's not defending. Look at her stance. She's not even trying to block." He was right. Jennifer wasn't dodging, wasn't parrying. She was walking straight into Korvax's strikes, taking the full impact, and then continuing. Like the damage was happening to someone else's body. Korvax struck again, a precise blow to her shoulder that should have severed the joint. Jennifer grunted, her arm hanging at an odd angle, and then she swung her other fist into his thorax with a haymaker that had absolutely no technique behind it. It connected anyway. Korvax stumbled back, surprised more than hurt. The human hit like a Turvan cargo loader, all blunt force and no finesse. "You have no training," he said, confused. "No combat education. Your form is terrible." "Yeah, I'm a bartender," Jennifer said through gritted teeth, blood still streaming from her mouth. "I pour drinks and break up fights. I'm not supposed to be here. Your assholes grabbed me off the street thinking I'd be easy entertainment." She spat blood and advanced again. "Surprise!" She swung again, wild and uncoordinated. Korvax blocked easily and delivered a counterstrike that would have decapitated most species. Jennifer's head snapped back, blood arcing through the air, and she dropped to one knee. The crowd held its collective breath. Jennifer pushed herself back up. "Okay, that one rang my bell pretty good." She shook her head like she was trying to clear it, blood dripping from a split in her scalp. "You're fast, I'll give you that." "Stay down," Korvax roared, and the crowd echoed his sentiment. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was wrong, unnatural. The prey was supposed to fall. "Your body is destroyed. I can see your injuries. Why won't you fall?" "Because I'm still pissed off," Jennifer said simply. She lunged forward with another graceless brawler's attack, this one catching Korvax off guard, because no rational being would attack in her condition. "Her pain tolerance is beyond anything in our database," Zara reported, her voice shaking. "Arena Master, I've been monitoring combat physiology for 15 years. I've never seen readings like this. Her endorphin levels are astronomical. It's like her body is producing its own combat stimulants. Is she drugged? Vexthul demanded. No, this is natural. Her species they just ignore damage that would incapacitate us. Korvax delivered his finishing combination, 3 strikes in rapid succession that had never failed to end a fight. Jennifer took all 3, blood spraying with each impact, and then grabbed his blade arm when he overextended. Got you, she said, and drove her knee into what she hoped was something vital. It wasn't particularly effective, but it was aggressive, determined, and utterly fearless. Korvax wrenched free and struck her again. Jennifer went down hard, her body making a sickening sound as it hit the arena floor. She got back up, again. That's 3 lethal strikes, Zara whispered. She should be dead 3 times over. Her ribcage is compromised, she's bleeding internally, her left lung is collapsed, and she's still fighting. The crowd's noise had changed. The bloodthirsty excitement had transformed into something else. Unease, confusion, a growing realization that they were watching something that violated the natural order. Korvax was breathing hard now, his exoskeleton slick with exertion. The match had lasted 7 minutes. His longest previous fight had been 4. What are you? He asked again, desperation creeping into his voice. Jennifer wiped blood from her eyes. She was learning. He could see it. Each time he struck, she was tracking the movement, analyzing the pattern. Her defensive instincts were terrible, but her observation skills were sharp. I'm human, she said. We're persistence predators. Back on Earth, we evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're not fast. We're not strong. She grinned that bloody grin again, but we don't stop. She came at him again, and this time Korvax saw something in her eyes that made his blood run cold. She wasn't trying to survive anymore. She was trying to win. He struck her twice more, beautiful precision strikes that any arena judge would score as killing blows. Jennifer absorbed both, grabbed his blade arm again, and this time headbutted him with enough force that his vision blurred. She's learning his attack patterns, Vexthul said quietly, watching the human adjust her terrible stance incrementally with each exchange. She's treating this like training. She thinks she's learning. She can't be, Zara protested. She's sustaining catastrophic injuries. Her cognitive function should be impaired. She should be in shock. But Jennifer wasn't in shock. She was angry, bleeding, damaged beyond what any medic would consider survivable, and she was adapting. Korvax struck again, and for the first time in his career, his strike felt desperate rather than confident. The human caught it. Not perfectly, not gracefully. But she caught it. Getting tired, champ? She asked, and her voice had the same casual mockery she'd use on a drunk who'd overstayed his welcome. At the bar. Because I can do this all night. I've worked double shifts with a hangover worse than this. The champion of the Crimson Sands, undefeated in 247 matches, felt something he'd never experienced in the arena before. Doubt. And the human bartender with catastrophic injuries and a blood-stained smile just kept coming. The arena's central clock displayed 23 minutes of continuous combat, and Korvax stared at it like it was lying to him. His previous record was 4 minutes and 17 seconds, against a Kreth warrior who'd augmented himself with military-grade implants. That fight had been brutal, exhausting, a test of everything he'd learned in 12 seasons. This human bartender had been fighting him for nearly half an hour. Emergency counsel, Vexthul's voice cracked through every command channel in the facility. All senior arena officials to observation deck immediately. We have a biological protocols violation in progress. Arena Master, I need permission to intervene, Zara said urgently. The human's accumulated damage is catastrophic. She's bleeding internally from at least 7 distinct injury sites. Her cardiovascular system should be failing. She should be unconscious from blood loss alone. But she's not, Vexthul said, watching Jennifer actually dodge, one of Korvax's strikes. It was clumsy, poorly timed, but it was adaptation. Zara, what am I looking at here? I'm not sure, the medical officer admitted, but I think I think I found something. The human's adrenal system. It's producing massive quantities of what their biology classifies as epinephrine and norepinephrine. It's a natural stimulant production system. They drug themselves during stress. All species have stress responses. Not like this, Zara's voice pitched higher. This isn't just a stress response. This is a combat enhancement system built into their biology. It's suppressing her pain signals, increasing her heart rate to compensate for blood loss, sharpening her cognitive function despite the trauma. She's literally getting stronger as she gets hurt. In the arena, Jennifer caught another of Korvax's strikes on her forearm. Already broken, he'd heard it snap 2 strikes ago and drove her elbow into his optical cluster. "You know what's funny?" she said conversationally, blood bubbling at the corners of her mouth. "This is actually pretty tame compared to some bar fights I've broken up." "Impossible!" Korvax gasped, his breathing labored. His exoskeleton ached, his blade arms felt heavy. "I've delivered 14 killing strikes." 14! "Yeah, they hurt. I'm definitely feeling those." Jennifer spat blood and wiped her mouth. "But pain's just information, right? It's telling me I'm damaged, not that I'm done. Humans are stubborn like that. We've got this thing where we just don't quit, even when we probably should." She swung again, that same terrible haymaker with no technique, but Korvax was slower now, his blocks less precise. The punch connected with his thorax again, and this time it actually hurt. "I had a regular at my bar," Jennifer continued, stalking forward while Korvax tried to create distance. "Big guy, used to play earth football. Told me once he played an entire game with a broken collarbone. Didn't even know it was broken until after." She laughed, the sound wet and bubbling. "Humans do that kind of stuff all the time. We're really, really good at ignoring our bodies when they're telling us to stop." "Senior medical staff are reviewing the data now." Another voice joined the command channel, Krathin, the arena's chief physician. "This is remarkable. The human's physiology is designed for sustained damage tolerance. Look at her cardiovascular system. It's compensating for the blood loss in real time. Her blood pressure should have dropped her into shock by now, but her heart is just working harder." "She's still bleeding," Zara protested. "Yes, but slowly enough that she can function for—" Krathin paused, running calculations. "For another 30 to 40 minutes at this rate, maybe more if her adrenaline system continues compensating." In the arena, Korvax landed another strike that should have ended everything. Jennifer stumbled, went down on one knee, and Korvax allowed himself a moment of relief. Jennifer stood back up. "Okay, I'm starting to figure out your moves," she said. "You telegraph with your left blade arm before you strike with the right, and you always aim for the same target zones, efficient but predictable." "She's analyzing him," Vexthul said quietly. "A civilian with no combat training is analyzing a 12-season champion's technique while sustaining injuries that should have killed her 5 minutes into the fight." "That's not untrained fighting," Krathin observed, watching Jennifer's latest attack. "That's street fighting, brawling. No formal education but significant practical experience. How many bar fights did she say she's broken up?" "Too many, apparently," Jennifer answered, apparently hearing the command channel through the arena's speakers. She ducked under Korvax's strike, actually ducked with timing that was improving, and drove her fist into his midsection. "Friday and Saturday nights at a college bar. You learn to fight dirty when you're breaking up drunk idiots who think they're invincible." She grinned up at the champion, "Though honestly, you're more polite than most of them." The crowd was no longer cheering. The bloodthirsty excitement had died completely, replaced by a collective realization that was rippling through 60,000 spectators like a cold wave. The champion was losing, not in skill, not in strength, not in technique, in endurance. Korvax struck again, his movements increasingly desperate. Jennifer took the hit, blood spraying from a new cut on her temple, and grabbed his blade arm with both hands. She couldn't match his strength, couldn't wrench it aside or disarm him, but she held on long enough to drive her knee into his leg joint. Korvax felt something shift, not break, Not yet, but shift, a warning of structural stress. He was wearing down. The human was breaking him through sheer attrition. "This shouldn't be possible," he said, and this time his translator caught the full weight of his existential horror. "I am a trained warrior. You are a bartender, a civilian. This is not, you cannot—" "Yeah, I know, it's super unfair," Jennifer agreed, blood dripping from her chin. "You grabbed me off the street thinking I'd be easy entertainment. Bet you're regretting that now, huh?" Vexthul's hands gripped the railing of the observation deck hard enough to leave dents. "We've made a catastrophic mistake. We kidnapped a human civilian, threw her in an arena with our champion, and discovered that humans are persistence predators," Crethin finished. "They're not designed to win quickly. They're designed to simply not lose. To keep functioning, keep fighting, keep moving until their opponent collapses from exhaustion." He pulled up comparative data. "Look at this. Human endurance records. They have documented cases of individuals functioning with injuries that our combat manuals classify as instantly fatal. They have athletes who deliberately damage their bodies to make them stronger. They have a cultural concept called playing through the pain that their warriors consider honorable." "She's not even a warrior," Zara whispered. In the arena, Korvac struck again, and his blade arm trembled with fatigue. Jennifer smiled through the blood, through the pain, through the catastrophic damage her body had sustained, and she kept coming. Because that's what humans did. They didn't know when to quit. At 37 minutes, Korvac's blade arm trembled as he raised it for another strike. His breath came in ragged gasps that echoed through his translator. His legs, built for explosive power, not sustained exertion, felt like they were filled with molten slag. Jennifer was still standing. Moving slower now, yes, visibly damaged, absolutely, but still coming forward with that terrible, inevitable persistence. "She's not fighting like a warrior," Zara said quietly, watching the human's shambling advance. "She's fighting like a predator that's already killed its prey. She's just waiting for you to realize you're dead." Humans evolved as pursuit predators. Crethin pulled up Earth's evolutionary data with shaking hands. On their homeworld, they hunted prey by simply following it. For hours, sometimes days, their prey would run until its cardiovascular system failed from exhaustion. The humans would just keep walking. They didn't need to be faster or stronger. They just needed to never stop. Vexthul stared at Jennifer Martinez, bloodied and broken and still advancing. "And we threw a civilian human into a combat arena. We threw an apex predator into a cage with prey," Crethin corrected grimly. Korvac struck again. The blow was slower, the angle predictable. Jennifer stepped inside his reach, finally learning proper distance management after 40 minutes of brutal education, and drove her fist into his thorax with every ounce of strength her damaged body could muster. The champion of the Crimson Sands went down. The arena was silent except for the sound of Korvac's labored breathing and the wet rasp of Jennifer's collapsed lung. Korvac tried to stand. His legs wouldn't cooperate. His species' musculature was designed for quick, devastating encounters. Not this, never this endless grinding attrition. "Stay down, champ," Jennifer said, her voice rough. "You're done." "It's okay." She extended her hand, her broken, bloodied, impossibly functional hand, offering to help him up. Korvac stared at it, uncomprehending. You're offering aid? After I tried to kill you?" "Well, yeah," Jennifer coughed, blood spraying from her lips. "It was a good fight. You hit hard. I respect that." She kept her hand extended. "You okay? You look pretty tired." "Stop the match." Vexthul's voice boomed through the arena. "The exhibition is concluded. The result is declared a draw. Medical teams to the floor immediately." Jennifer looked up at the observation deck, confused. "A draw? I thought we were just sparring. You know, putting on a show for the crowd." She turned back to Korvac. "Was this not supposed to be entertainment?" I mean, you guys grabbed me off the street and threw me in here, so I figured it was like wrestling or something. Staged combat for fun. The silence that followed was profound. She thought it was entertainment, Zara whispered. She thought this was performance combat. She's been holding back. Holding back? Vexthul's voice cracked. She sustained catastrophic injuries. How could she possibly have been holding back? Jennifer pulled her offered hand back and shrugged, then winced as the movement shifted her broken ribs. I mean, I didn't go for eyes or throat, didn't try to actually hurt the guy. I figured if this was for show, I should just be defensive, take some hits, make it look good for the crowd. She glanced at Korvax. If I'd known it was an actual death match, I would have fought differently, more aggressive, aimed for vulnerable spots. The medical teams arrived, surrounding both combatants. Zara rushed to Jennifer's side, medical scanner already active. Human Jennifer, you need immediate medical intervention. Your injuries are... She stopped, staring at her readouts. That's not possible. What now? Vexthul demanded. Her injuries. They're already beginning to heal. Her broken ribs are showing early calcification. Her internal bleeding has slowed significantly. Her collapsed lung is... Zara looked up at Jennifer with something approaching awe. How fast do humans heal? Pretty fast, I guess. Jennifer allowed the medical team to guide her to a stretcher, though she protested she could walk. I mean, I've bounced back from bar fights in a couple days usually. Bruises fade, cuts heal, no big deal. A couple of days, Crethin repeated faintly, from injuries that would require months of recovery for most species. Korvax was being helped to his feet by his own medical team, but his eyes never left Jennifer. You were not fighting with full effort, he said slowly. This entire time you were restrained? Well, yeah, I thought we were putting on a show. Jennifer coughed again, less blood this time. I've seen professional wrestling on Earth. Looks brutal, but it's choreographed. Nobody actually tries to kill each other. I figured this was the same deal. It was not, Korvax said quietly. I delivered 14 strikes designed to kill you instantly. My render technique has ended the lives of over 40 opponents. I was not performing. I was executing. Jennifer blinked. Oh. Well, that explains why you seemed so serious about it. She actually smiled, that blood-stained smile that had haunted Korvax through the entire match. Good thing humans are tough, huh? Otherwise, this would have gone really badly. Badly, Vexthul repeated, watching his champion being helped out of the arena while the human chatted casually with medical staff. She considers being nearly killed 14 times to be not that bad. Arena Master, Zara called up. The human is requesting we expedite her treatment. She says she has a shift at her workplace in... She checked her translator. 2 hours? She needs to get home. Her shift, Korvax said from his stretcher, and for the first time in 12 seasons, the champion started laughing. It was a broken, exhausted sound, but genuine. She survives the render, fights me to exhaustion, and her concern is returning to her job serving beverages. He looked at Jennifer, who was arguing with the medical team about whether she really needed advanced treatment or if they could just slap some bandages on it. Human Jennifer, Korvax called out, you have my respect. I have fought warriors from 100 worlds. None have shown your endurance, your resilience. He bowed his head, a gesture of deep honor in his culture. You are the first opponent to earn my admiration in defeat. Thanks, Jennifer said cheerfully. You're pretty decent yourself. If you're ever on Earth, stop by Mickey's Tap House. First beer's on me. As the medical teams escorted both fighters from the arena, Vexthul turned to his assembled officials. New regulation, effective immediately. Full biological assessment required before any species is introduced to arena combat. And humans... He watched Jennifer's stretcher disappear down the medical corridor, the humans still protesting that she was fine. Humans are banned from arena participation. Because they're too fragile? Someone asked. No, Vexthul said quietly, because they're too dangerous. To themselves, to others, and to everything we thought we knew about biological limitations. In the medical bay, Jennifer was already asking about ice packs and aspirin, completely unaware that she'd just redefined what galactic civilization understood about the nature of endurance, pain, and the terrifying persistence of Earth's apex predators. The official decree went out across all arena communication channels within the hour. Effective immediately, humans are prohibited from participating in arena combat under any circumstances. Vex Thul read the addition he'd personally written to the regulation. Classification reasoning, excessive resilience poses danger to established combat protocols and participant safety standards. Not too weak, too strong, in the worst possible way. Human Jennifer, Vex Thul entered the medical bay, all four eyes downcast in a gesture of profound shame. I must offer formal apology on behalf of the Crimson Sands Arena. You were taken from your homeworld under false pretenses. We believed humans were prey-level species, suitable for exhibition matches against our champion as easy entertainment. Jennifer looked up from the medical bed where Zara was applying regenerative treatments. Yeah, I kind of figured that out when the big guy started actually trying to kill me. She didn't sound angry, just tired. So can I get that medical attention and maybe a ride home? My shift starts in 2 hours and my manager's going to be pissed if I'm late again. Your shift, Vex Thul repeated, struggling to process the human's priorities. You were nearly killed, and you're concerned about your employment. I mean, rent doesn't pay itself. Jennifer winced as Zara sealed another wound. And Mickey's gets slammed on Thursday nights. They need me behind the bar. Her healing rate is remarkable, Zara reported, watching tissue regenerate at speeds that made her medical training seem inadequate. Broken ribs are already beginning to knit. Internal bleeding has stopped completely. At this rate, she'll be functional in days, not weeks. Functional in days, Jennifer corrected. Back to normal in maybe 2 weeks. I've bounced back from worse. The medical bay door opened and Korvax entered, moving stiffly but under his own power. He approached Jennifer's bed and performed the full warrior's salute, both blade arms crossed over his chest. Human Jennifer Martinez, I have fought for 12 seasons. 248 matches. You are the only opponent who has ever earned my complete respect. Jennifer grinned, then winced. Thanks, big guy. You hit like a freight train. I'm definitely going to feel this tomorrow. She laughed. Hell, I'm feeling it now. But honestly, I've seen worse bar fights. Had a bachelorette party last month that got completely out of hand. 3 broken chairs, 2 cracked ribs, mine, and a bride who tried to fight a bouncer. She's not even a fighter, Korvax said quietly to Vex Thul. She's a civilian, service worker, arena master, if this is what human civilians can endure. He didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hung in the air like smoke. If human bartenders could survive the render, what could human soldiers do? I've been reviewing the match footage, Crethin joined them, pulling up holographic displays. Human Jennifer, I need to ask, when you were injured, you smiled. Multiple times. We initially interpreted this as psychological breakdown, but now I'm not certain. Is smiling while injured a human combat behavior? Oh, that? Jennifer touched her split lip carefully. Yeah, I learned that one breaking up fights. If someone hits you and you smile, it freaks them out, makes them think you're tougher than you are, or crazy, or both. Usually makes them back down. She looked at Korvax. Did it work on you? Yes, the champion admitted. It was deeply unsettling. I thought you were experiencing neural damage. Instead, you were employing psychological warfare. The blood in her smile wasn't desperation, Vex Thul said, understanding clicking into place. It was a warning. She was telling you she could take everything you had and keep coming. Pretty much. Jennifer accepted a glass of water from Zara. In my line of work, you learn to project confidence even when you're scared or hurt. De-escalation through intimidation. We have updated all first contact protocols, Vex Thul said formally. Before any interaction with humans, full biological and cultural research is now mandatory. We will not make this mistake again. Good. Jennifer stood up, testing her balance. Zara immediately moved to support her, but Jennifer waved her off. I'm okay. Just need to get home. Take some aspirin, maybe use an ice pack. Standard post-bar fight procedure. We will provide transportation, Vexthul assured her, and compensation for your trauma. And maybe don't kidnap people off the street anymore, Jennifer suggested. That's generally frowned upon where I'm from. After Jennifer had been escorted to a transport, Vexthul returned to his office and pulled up the match footage. He watched it 3 times, then a 4th. Each viewing made it worse. 6 times. The human had taken lethal strikes and stood back up 6 times. The 7th would have been lethal to anyone, even her, but by then Korvax had been too exhausted to deliver it properly. She'd won through simple, terrible persistence. 48 hours later, surveillance feeds from Earth, newly established after the Jennifer Martinez incident, showed the bartender back at work. She moved a bit stiffly, had bandages visible on her arms, and wore what Earth humans called a knee brace. But she was working, serving drinks, breaking up a minor altercation between 2 intoxicated patrons with the same casual competence she'd shown in the arena. Weird couple of days, the surveillance picked up her saying to a coworker. Got grabbed by aliens, had to fight their champion. Pretty wild. Yeah, right, her coworker laughed. What really happened? Would you believe bar fight? That I believe. In the Crimson Sands arena, in the champion's private medical suite, Korvax sat in meditation, processing his first draw in a career of perfect victories. He thought about the human's smile, the blood on her teeth, the way she'd offered him her hand after beating him through sheer refusal to quit. He'd fought predators, warriors, champions. He'd never fought someone who simply would not stop. Someone who got back up because staying down wasn't in their nature. Someone who treated lethal injuries as an inconvenience before their work shift. Korvax opened his eyes and looked at his blade arms, weapons that had ended hundreds of lives. They'd been useless against a bartender who wouldn't quit. And somewhere on Earth, Jennifer Martinez served beer, broke up fights, and considered the entire incident just another weird Thursday. Because that's what humans did. They endured, they persisted, they smiled through the blood and kept moving forward. And the galaxy would never look at them the same way again.